Now that I think about it, I wonder if there's a way I can use this as precedent to go after a media personality and has actively tried to, defame me deliberately. Just something to think about. Yeah, maybe others should think about that as well.
I would fucking crush Hasan, because this motherfucker has probably never talked to a lawyer in his life. Please come at me.
My, oh my. All this pressure really seems to be getting to Hasan. The guy is literally threatening to team up with the lawyer that got the $1.4 billion judgment against Alex Jones. Hasan is essentially threatening that he's gonna use this guy to sue Destiny and Dan because of their community's relentless crusade against Twitch's double standards with policy enforcement in regards to the whole conflict with Israel. But Twitch has shown time and time again that they're essentially okay with creators promoting extremism, but not any sort of critique from the opposing side. That is, until the Taliban essentially forced the hand of Twitch's advertisers. And regardless of what you feel about that, and what side you fall on with the whole situation, I think we could all get behind not liking the double standard with policy enforcement. Personally, I think they should both be able to say whatever the hell they want, as long as it's not illegal. But, with advertisers and all, that's clearly never gonna happen. But Hasan seems to be under the impression that he has done nothing wrong, and that this is just an organized campaign against him and Twitch because of Destiny's hate for him. The dude lacks any sort of self-reflection about the insane string of statements and absurd actions that he's done over the last couple months. But then again, if he really thought he did nothing wrong, would he have deleted the last 2 months of his VODs?
All right, Alex Jones, Infowars, let's watch.
Morning, the satirical news site The Onion has just won an auction to acquire the media outlet Infowars. Right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. The Onion's bid was backed by the families of 8 victims of the Sandy Hook school shooting, the very people that Jones defamed. And now Alex Jones is responding on social media. Fascinating, especially after Alex Jones caused so much pain for the families of the Sandy Hook victims, defaming them, just putting them through hell. A lot of people are seeing...
And that's why...
Yeah, some justice here.
This is another example of the courts bringing real punishment for defamation. Jim, you and I have been covering this for a few years now. We've seen how it's really only the courts that are able to bring justice to the big liars out there promoting big lies. And Alex Jones, in some ways, was the biggest one of them all. Look, he's going to set up shop somewhere else. He's vowing to fight on. He has allies like Steve Bannon. They're going to help him do it. But The Onion was able to partner with the Sandy Hook families, and they've actually struck an advertising deal with the gun control group, Every Town for Gun Safety. So they're trying to do some good, taking out of all the damage that Alex Jones caused, Jim.
Well, hats off to them all. Brian Stelter, thank you very much.
Now that I think about it, I wonder if there's a way I can use this as precedent to go after a media personality that has impacted my real life experiences and has actively tried to, defame me deliberately by not only engaging in slander routinely, but also beyond the slander, has actively targeted by way of his Discord and by way of his subreddit an interest to harass me and my family members and people that are around me. Interesting. I know just the lawyer for the job. Brother, I know the lawyer that successfully sued Alex Jones at the behest of the Sandy Hook victim families. You guys are talking about Lolo, but I also know the lawyer who personally successfully sued Alex Jones. Just something to think about. Yeah, maybe others should think about that as well.
Isn't it kind of fucked up that Hasan is watching a story about the tragedy that happened at Sandy Hook, but he somehow found a way to make it about himself? Just a thought. Apart from that, though, I would love to see Hasan get slapped down in court for thinking any of this has been defamation against him. Dude, the endless amount of clips Destiny and Dan could play confirming everything they've said about him would actually be biblical. Hasan would actually never be able to live down the L from the public flogging from that, which is exactly why we'll probably never see it. And a quick note about the Onion's purchase of Infowars. That was actually stalled by a judge for possibly being a shady action where they didn't even accept the highest bid. So Hasan shouldn't get too excited about that. At least, not yet. Dan actually ended up seeing Hasan's threats of a lawsuit, and here's his reaction to it.
Hasan's probably talking about Destiny and not me. And because I'm the one doing everything and Destiny's done nothing.
He does not think you have autonomy at all. He thinks you are just his. Yeah.
Destiny's giving me marching orders. Meanwhile, Destiny's like, hey, Dan, how's it going? I'm like, yo, I met with lawyers today. He's like, for real? I'm like, yo, for real. He's like, all right, good luck with all that. That's it. That's like literally the extent Destiny's had with all of us. Also, I would fucking crush Hasan because this motherfucker has probably never talked to a lawyer in his life. Please come at me.
I mean, I've heard
I thought he
basically
people...
hates lawyers.
How does he get people to sign NDAs if he doesn't talk to a lawyer?
Hasan would, listen, all I'm going to say is he would be so fucking stupid with the way he did it. I think I could end up making money if he came at me. That would be the funniest fucking shit in my life. Please, baby Jesus, make it happen.
The crazy thing is like, it's not, like with Hasan, you don't really have to misrepresent him. Like all of his shit is he's just a terrible person.
Yeah.
Whoever that last guy was in the conversation is actually 100% correct. You don't have to take Hasan out of context. You don't have to defame him. The things he honestly says without even taking him out of context is just completely reprehensible. Hasan thinks his worst enemy is Destiny and his community, when in reality, Hasan's worst enemy is Hasan. The guy just can't stop putting his foot in his own mouth. It's like his only objective is to look like he's some sort of all-knowing non-taker of L's to his commie frogs. And his community is just completely willing to overlook every insane comment he makes if it helps Hasan discredit his opposition and beat up the straw man he and his audience have created. If Dan welcomes the lawsuit, then hell, I'd love to see it happen. 'Cause a courtroom is far different than your chat, Hasan. You can't just read one of your chatter's out-of-context snippets and play it off like everyone that doesn't like you is just obsessed. Which is exactly why this will never happen. What's more impressive than Hasan's ability to deflect from any sort of criticism by just calling people obsessed is probably his complete unwillingness to admit that he has anything to do with Twitch's current adpoclypse and demonetization situation.
I'm curious to know if you have ever been demonetized for anything you've ever spoken, or till this day, do you...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the past and even like even now, like not only have I been demonetized, I had the reason why that happened to you is partially a response to this like never-ending smear campaign that's been going on, I think, led by this dude who used to be on the platform, who's like permanently angry that he's never unbanned from the platform. So he just kind of made it like his life's mission to get the platform taken down now, basically. They've been like applying pressure, like they've been doing this like vicious smear campaign non-stop with the hopes of triggering. Do you remember the adpoclypse?
No, what was that?
Like during the PewDiePie era on YouTube, like all the advertisers pulled out because the media was like, what the this guy's like saying, this guy is the PewDiePie, the largest YouTuber, is like, you know, saying a whole bunch of stuff online. And then there was like, I think like all these creepy videos that were targeted towards kids. And then people started writing articles about it. And you know, advertisers started getting worried and they pulled out, right? They pulled out, and so many content creators like lost a shit ton of revenue. It was known as like the adpoclypse, basically. Okay. And at the time, people were very mad I think Logan Paul with the suicide forest contributed to it too, if I'm not mistaken. It was a long ass time ago. I don't fully remember all the details, but basically, at the time, like everyone was really mad at mainstream media for, you know, covering YouTube as a competitor in this like really negative fashion, right? And it caused a lot of content creators, random content creators like yourself, catching strays for no reason and like losing out on revenue.
Right.
And now these guys are basically doing the same shit.
Without warning, by the way. Without no message, warning, nothing.
Yeah, I think Twitch is just responding to like pressure that's coming from outside groups being like, oh, these guys are anti-Semitic. Twitch has an anti-Semitism problem. And, you know, Twitch has a problem with like political content. It is extremist. And they haven't gotten a lot of motion overall. But I think platforms are very careful whenever stuff like that happens, and they get very worried whenever stuff like that happens, and they turn around and take action immediately. They're like, oh shit, we got to nip this in the bud. And in that process, they get a little bit ahead of themselves, and they end up doing insane stuff like what just happened to you with the Iran tag, where they're like, oh, if you have a tag, they overcompensate out of fear. If you have a tag for any of like America's sanctioned enemies, I guess, like
Right.
Iran or Venezuela or Cuba, then you're not going to get monetized. And
Yeah,
one thing that they took was like they created a new content classification system. Like right now, when I'm talking to you, I have a content label: politics and sensitive social issues. Discussions or debates about politics or sensitive social issues such as elections, civic integrity, military conflict, and civil rights in a polarizing manner. Now, I put that content classification label on voluntarily, and that's a new thing. And they did that in response to like all of this pressure, right? They did that in response to all this pressure. And, you know, I'm abiding by that standard. But I think that it automatically, and now there's a link that, or there's a warning that says like this is intended for certain audiences. And I think in the process, they also took me off the front page as well. Like even on election night, when I had 300.
I'm sorry, 300.
Yeah, I had 314,000 live concurrent viewers on election night. I wasn't on the front page. Asmongold was, Jinxie was, and every other content creator that was covering the election was, but I wasn't. So unless you went directly to my website, twitch.tv/Hasanabi, or I guess if I was on your following list already, then I would show up. But there was no other way for a not logged account unless they typed in twitch.tv/Hasanabi to actually, I would not appear in front of them.
Because you're politically opinionated.
That was, I think, deliberate beyond being politically opinionated. I think they straight up shadow banned me because they were worried about all of this extra pressure that was surmounting on the platform.
Okay.
And the pressure is coming from Destiny and his community.
Yeah, it's a smear campaign, guys. Hasan never said those things. You can't find endless clips of Hasan promoting extremism and saying the most f***ed up shit you can think of. It's honestly kind of amazing, his resilience to just not do any sort of self-reflection of what he has most certainly done. This guy is just trying to completely rewrite history and make it seem like he has nothing to do with the current Twitch adpocalypse, when in reality, he's clearly the majority of the issue. And not to mention his batshit orbiters like Frogan. Like, think about it. Literally nothing good comes from this guy's community and the people that orbit around him. He loves to talk about Destiny's community, but his own is honestly just a toxic cesspool. If you think about it, his community actually sounds a lot like some sort of commie version of Pole, and he seems to have no problem with it. Like, next time you're listening to Hasan talk about something controversial, or even just looking at something a Republican said, just take a moment and look at his chat. You are guaranteed to see some really messed up stuff. And sometimes people just seem to overlook that because of how much shit Hasan managed to say himself. But his community is truly something else. Anyway, let's take a look at Hasan getting infuriated when one of his chatters brings up the ADL, which is one of the key outside forces putting pressure on Twitch right now.
This kind of stuff, at the very least, was like a little bit more suppressed back in the day. And when there is a permission structure for this kind of, when there's a permission structure for this kind of sentiment, people end up thinking, oh, this is normal. Some people end up thinking, oh my God, this is real. Okay? Don't you agree with them though? What do you mean? Like this, you're such a cynical fucking moron, dude. No, I do not agree with him, you fucking idiot. What are you saying? A lot of people are more invested in fighting their fucking internet daddies' battles in here than the actual fucking problems at hand. Okay? This is a major issue. Like, you are dropping the ball entirely, okay? You are personally saying, I'm not even really interested in the rise of anti-Semitism as long as I can use that as a, cynical way to fucking attack you. Why do you think this is happening, though? I mean, I've talked about this a million times over. Historically, because of the way that Israel presents itself as the arbiter of Judaism falsely, which is not correct, okay? At times when Israel ends up doing incredibly violent shit to the Palestinian population, people go, oh my God, the Jews are at it again. Because most people don't think about things critically. They just respond to whatever is being presented to them immediately. And on top of that, there is a shit ton of underlying, unexamined anti-Semitic thoughts out there, anti-Semitic sentiment out there. Okay? Trying to get the ADL off his back? No, you fucking idiot. No. You are a dumb fuck the ADL. That is the Apartheid Defense League. I literally just explained to you that they do not give a fuck about rising anti-Semitism. They care more about defending Israel.
All right. First of all, let's get this out of the way. I agree. The ADL most definitely sucks. But Hasan's reaction is pretty hilarious. This guy is actually cracking under the pressure. And it's like he sees destiny behind every single corner. Even things that have nothing to do with destiny, he can't seem to help but to see him. A chatter could just bring up something that goes slightly against the grain of what he and chat are saying. And the guy just always assumes it's like someone from Destiny's community trying to make him look bad. The guy is a total schizo. I think Hasan needs to realize that he is the obsessed one. And the chatter is actually just correct. Hasan has been trying to moderate his opinion to get the heat off his back and attempt to get his ads back up. That, and he's probably thinking that Twitch is seeing him as a massive liability at this point. And he wouldn't be the only one thinking that. Hasan's old buddy Mizkif is starting to think that Hasan and politics as a whole needs to be banned from the platform entirely.
I personally just wish politics were permanently banned off Twitch. I really do. I think a lot of stress and a lot of problems would be gone if they're just like, hey, you want to be political? Get off the website. You want to be a political boy? Go to Twitter. Don't do it here anymore. I swear. I think all political streamers should be banned. If you're really political, then get off. Because if we can't handle it with the ad, if it's going to affect ad revenue for everybody, it's going to ruin the website, you might as well do it anyway. You have to. Hasan gets banned. If it affects every content creator losing ad revenue, which also might affect the entirety of Twitch, Hasan should get banned. Absolutely.
Sheesh. Hasan should be banned. Absolutely. Something tells me he would have never said that if it wasn't affecting his wallet. But, since he did say it, let's humor it for a second. In a way, he's actually right. Politics bring a lot of heat to the platform, and that heat definitely contributes with situations like Twitch is in now. And while I think banning politics as a whole is clearly a step too far, I can see why someone would come up to that conclusion. People like Hasan are negatively affecting the revenue of the entire platform. A lot of streamers are actually being really hurt by this. Like, think about the people that aren't absurdly rich like a lot of these guys. Think about the guys that are just getting by, and what happens to them when ad revenue just drops 90% in one day because all of the high-paying advertisers just up and leave because some sort of controversy. That controversy is almost always politically related. But personally, I don't think Twitch would have gotten into this situation if they weren't playing favorites and letting a certain group run amok. And Twitch's non-action emboldened these people to push it further and further. Then eventually, people caught on to the double standard, and now here we are. If Twitch was properly applying the policy to both sides, then these people would have never gotten so bold for them to create this problem for Twitch and its advertisers. When you think about it, their inaction is what caused this. Alright guys, I said my bit. And to all the new people from the last couple videos blowing up, welcome aboard. You guys are awesome. These videos have honestly been doing a lot better than I expected. It seems like we might actually finally be building some sort of momentum over here. And I just wanted to say, thanks guys. It really means a lot. Anyway, if you guys liked the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And if you want to see more videos like this, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video right here. Alright guys, peace.